Bitcoin on the hourly time frame is consolidating at $89,000. It's so crazy, you've got to pinch yourself when you hear shit like this because it just doesn't make sense, but it's true. Bitcoin is up here. We smashed that $89,000 price level yesterday. We hit it again with a slightly higher high, and just right now we are attempting to break this level again, which is fantastic. If we zoom out a little bit, this is a chart which has started to consolidate and slow down, and that is very, very good news. Okay, you and I both want to see Bitcoin hitting $100,000, but we don't want to see Bitcoin hitting $100,000 in a way that's going to make it crash down to 60K and then enter a bear market for 3 months. We don't want that. We're done with it. We don't want more of it, okay? And if we go ahead over to my Twitter, you guys have been seeing absolutely brilliant shit posts from me on Twitter, and this one I think is absolutely hilarious right here. This is the bull run where everybody is done. Everyone just wants to make their money, and they want to get the fuck out of this abusive relationship with Bitcoin, and guess what, ladies and gents? It's not going to happen. You're going to be trapped here forever. Because when the market starts reaching those highs, guess what? You want something else that's more expensive. You know, there aren't that many people that can actually commit to exit plans in the market. But I'll tell you what, people who can, they are very, very happy for it. But we'll move it back to the video. I do want to make a quick note that those of you who do follow me on Twitter, it's the top link in the description of every single video and live stream. You're going to be getting exclusive analysis from me. The next bits of exclusive analysis are going to be alt analysis, meme coins, and stuff like that. So if you want to get stuff there that I don't post on YouTube, I showed you guys my Tesla analysis. Tesla is massively outperforming Bitcoin since I made that video, so you would have made much more money in Tesla than you have in Bitcoin. That stuff was only posted to Twitter, so if you want more exclusive, check that out. But this consolidation now is so healthy because it's going to potentially slow Bitcoin down a little bit. And one of the beautiful things that we get to do in these types of market phases, people don't really understand this unless you've been around for a few market cycles, is that when you start to kind of go sideways a little bit, what happens is that if you go back up, all of a sudden you now have a support level which you can enjoy, right? Because if you go upward now and then you have to start correcting, maybe you get a crash, whatever the case may be, there's nowhere to stop, right? If Bitcoin were to start crashing right now, there's nowhere it can find support. There's no support on the chart, right? I mean, there are a couple of psychological levels, but you're really reaching, if you're talking about those levels, there's really not too much significance to them. And so really, you're going to have to see Bitcoin come back down to that prior all-time high at 74K, or come down into the better support zone around that $71,000 price zone. My favorite, of course, is still 67. And if we measure all of this stuff from the all-time high down to that beautiful zone of support, that's going to be a 25% drop, which is pretty respectable. And if we take a look at this current range that we're in right now, what I want to do is zoom in with you guys back onto the hourly time frame and just show you how since we broke above the all-time high, this is the first kind of normal consolidation Bitcoin has had, right? I mean, we've had a couple of distinct phases in this market since that all-time high. This phase here would be just straight up. We had another straight up phase right here, and then yet another which led us to $89,000. And it's really important to visualize the market this way, because then you can kind of segregate what happens and where and what it means. And we're going to continue diving into that now in just the next couple of minutes. So smash up the likes for that, ladies and gents, if you do find this kind of stuff useful. And obviously, while you are down there, check out the links to these exchanges, ladies and gents. You're getting huge bonuses when you start trading using these links. They're going to give you free money that you can trade with, and any profits that you generate are going to be yours to keep. So check them out if you're not from a restricted region. But if we keep it locked to this Bitcoin chart, what I think is really interesting is just the nature of how this market has entered kind of up waves and then consolidation, right? So we've pointed out these three key movements since Bitcoin broke the all-time high. And now the next thing that I want to focus your attention on is what happened in between, right? And what happened in between with these kinds of price action, things here, where basically, I mean, I'm just calling them vertical accumulations. These are ascending channels. You can call them whatever you like. But broadly speaking, what we're seeing here is, a series of continuing higher highs and higher lows because the market is just too damn bullish and it just can't consolidate normally. You know, like normal consolidation typically is going to look something a little bit like this. You move up and then you kind of fall down a little bit. There are some sellers. There are a lot of people who are very, very happy here that kind of want to take some profits, whatever the case may be. Obviously, on these moves, there's going to be some people that are really scared, especially the people that sell at the bottom. And then the market kind of continues on upward, right? And you're very, very familiar with these kind of patterns. Sometimes you might do something a little bit different, right? You might do something that looks a little bit like this, where, instead of kind of trading down, a little bit like this, you just kind of trade sideways. But in either case, you're still kind of poised to move move up. And now it looks like Bitcoin is entering that more normal consolidation, right? Now we're kind of a little bit more level. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. We don't have a very clear low, but we do have a very clear high, and it's at that psychological resistance of $90,000. So if we are able to get above this resistance level with some conviction, then you know the deal. It's going to fly probably, and it's going to be getting very, very close to that $100,000 price level. And to put this in perspective, ladies and gents, we are only 12% away from $100,000. The numbers are just so crazy. They're so hard to believe when you say them out loud, but it is what it is. This is just the reality of the market right now, and I think that it is looking absolutely crazy. So this is definitely very, very cool, and definitely something that I am enjoying the look of so far. And so that's going to be it's something that we should really, really keep an eye on. I do want to look at some other indicators, though, that are really interesting here as far as support for Bitcoin. On the hourly, we don't even have any support catching up from the Ichimoku. From the EMAs, we have a ton of support that has actually caught up, and it's actually been helping Bitcoin a lot in this range here. So that's absolutely fantastic, and very, very healthy as well. I do want to take your attention over to a couple of tweets. Obviously, I like to kind of look at what's been going on in this space as well, and take a look at this one right here, a look at total 3, which is basically the total market cap of altcoins, and we're seeing a big move up here for altcoins right now, which is very, very interesting. But I do want to make sure that you and I stay grounded. Bitcoin is regaining its dominance, and that's very, very important. Now, there are certain coins that are just performing incredibly well despite this, but many, many coins are not. And what we're actually seeing here, ladies and gents, and this is so, so, so important. If you miss this, you're not going to be in a good position. What we're seeing here is that these altcoins are gaining against the dollar, broadly speaking, but they're not gaining against Bitcoin. In other words, if you're in Bitcoin, you're still making more money than if you're in an altcoin, but you're risking more money if you're in the altcoin, okay? So there's two aspects to this, and you really have to, if you don't visualize it this way, you're cooked, mate. I don't know, there's no other way to put it. You're over. If you don't visualize it this way, you're in trouble. You only have two elements to any trade ever. It's risk and reward, okay? And right now, your reward is slightly worse than Bitcoin, but your risk is astronomically high compared to Bitcoin. You're risking way, 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 way more than a Bitcoin holder is if you are parked in altcoins right now. And there are exceptions. The obvious exceptions are, Doge right now is doing incredibly well. Solana is doing incredibly well. A couple of other meme coins are doing incredibly well. And that's what some of the exclusives that Twitter are going to get are going to be about. So if you do want to catch them, then definitely make sure that you are following on Twitter. By the way, the video player there is great. You can even, you can even play it in picture-in-picture mode. So you don't even have to keep Twitter open, and you can just kind of scroll your phone, do whatever you need to do. So that's really, really nice. And so, yeah, Bitcoin's dominance is seeing a little bit of an uptick right now, which is absolutely fantastic. We've also got this take right here, which I think is absolutely great, from Mustache, saying that every dip is a gift in these market conditions. And, broadly speaking, yeah, I agree, right? We were looking at Doge just yesterday. We're going to be doing some more Doge analysis, so make sure you're subscribed if you want that. And Doge is already coming down to zones of support and bouncing off them successfully, which is amazing. It's exactly what you want to see at this point in the market. So I'm really, really liking the look of that. I just got to refresh this here just for a second. But if you are enjoying this live stream, this video so far, do me a favor and smash them up while you are here. It does help with the algorithm a little bit. We'll come back to Doge and the other meme coins in a bit. I want to keep it locked to Bitcoin and look at these indicators just to show you how far Bitcoin is from its zone of support, its zones, plural, of support, and why that could potentially be a problem. The reason that this can potentially be a problem is that, when you start getting a little bit too far away from your support, you have a very, very big drop that you can see, right? If you're going to be coming back down, but the problem with that is, this market has been so majority long for like a year or more, that there's going to be a shitload of long positions that could get stopped out, that could get liquidated. And if those long positions do get liquidated, that's probably going to result in a lot of downward price movement. And the easiest way for me to explain this to you, if you're not familiar with the mechanics in the market, is that if I open a position in a market where, let's say, I buy a Bitcoin, now my position in Bitcoin has gone from 0 to 1, right? Now I own 1 Bitcoin. The only way for me to close that position is to sell it. Okay, and if I sell it, I'm going to have to find somebody who wants to buy my Bitcoin. But if nobody wants to buy my Bitcoin, I'm going to have to go lower down in price until I can find a buyer, right? Until the market can match me with a buyer. And that's what happens when you start getting long squeezes, where everybody needs to get out of their long position because they're losing money, but nobody wants to buy their Bitcoins. And so they need to find buyers at lower price levels where, you know, where the buyers actually are. But by that point, the market is crashing even more, and now more people need to exit. And it just becomes a really, really dangerous, dark place. And actually, I've been talking about this on Twitter, warning you guys about it, because I want you guys to be prepared for it when it comes. You know, you're gonna wake up one day to a minus $10,000 BTC candle, and it's gonna be okay. Enjoy the ride while it's here, but don't feel your feelings too intensely. All right, if you guys feel like you need reminders on shit like this is what the Twitter's for. You know, we're really keeping it locked to very, very important things. I just posted the altcoin analysis here, and take a look at this, guys. 3,000% on this Bitcoin position here. Absolutely amazing. Like I said, I've entered this Bitcoin position all the way down at $21,500, and this is an outdated screenshot. I'm now significantly higher than 3,000% profit, which is very, very cool. My TRX position also up by 1,100%. I've got 12K in unrealized profits and another $40,000 that I've locked in. Obviously here I've locked in $200,000 in profit, and I've got another 22K, well, more than that now, and there's only $300 left in this position. So what an incredible amount of gains here in this market. This is what this YouTube channel is about. I mean, I've been incredibly public about all of my trades for a very long time now. My losses and my wins. Losses stay controlled. The wins, we try and blow them up when we can. You know, we're not gonna just go hunting for home runs, because we understand that compounding, you know, there's a lot of power in compounding, right? I mean, everybody in real estate, you know, they're looking for an 8% move, you know, in their property, you know, every year. But an 8% move in and of itself is horrible. It's not interesting at all. But when you get that 25 times in a row for 25 years, yeah, you're looking at a really nice, you know, little bit of money right there. And what we're trying to do in trading, ladies and gents, is we just want that 8%. You know, we don't want it to take a year, we want it to take a day, right? So we're just accelerating the same process that everybody's on, but in trading we're trying to do it a lot faster. So, you know, trading is the shortcut. There are no more shortcuts from here. You got to do it properly, but because of that, it is a very, very interesting phase in the market. So let's just take a quick scroll through Twitter. Let's just go to 100K today, so I don't feel like bidding again. You know, there's going to be a lot of sentiment like that. It's crazy that we're so close to $100,000 right now. It's kind of hard to believe, but I guess, you know, it is what it is. One of the big things that I do want to highlight, though, for you guys here on Twitter is this sentiment right here from Eli, or Eliz, saying, be careful, the less experienced will get hurt here. If you want some advice, if there are major flash dumps on altcoins, invest something on spot and wait for them to go off. To go up. Leverage here can be a double-edged sword for many of you. Leverage is going to screw a lot of people over, you know. I mean, it's my favorite tool to use. It's the best way to make money in these markets, bar none, in my experience. But there is a learning curve, and if you don't take it seriously, like I didn't take it seriously when I was younger. Oh my god, that was a horrible decision. So I think that's really, really important. But more important than that, back to Mustache here, you know, is the altcoin setup. You know, we're not actually seeing the major bullish crossovers happening yet, right? We got that bullish crossover here directly coinciding with huge upside in the altcoin market back in 2021. But so far we haven't quite gotten it, and so we're not quite even in that altcoin season yet. And even when that cross comes, it can still take quite some time for altcoins to start really rallying higher. So it's very, very important to understand that, you know, the time is very close. It's very important to be paying attention right now, but I don't think we're there yet. And across key technical indicators that kind of give you the green light, we're not there yet. And it's so important because if Bitcoin does go on another rip, right? If Bitcoin, this is the thing now, the other thing that we got to keep in mind with this Bitcoin chart, and I think this is so important, is that Bitcoin has been regularly experiencing resistance here now for the, you know, the last day. But because there's so much volume here, I mean, look at the volume here in this market and compare it to what we had before. Because there's so much volume that we're seeing in this market now, you know, every day of price action today, it's like 5 days of price action a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind because it helps us retain some realistic perspectives on things here. Because what it means is that we have been finding resistance at the same level for quite some time. And might I remind you, ladies and gents, what happens when Bitcoin finds resistance at the same price level for quite some time? Look at this entire diagonal resistance range right here, where Bitcoin was repeatedly finding resistance for a time period that stretched all the way up to 7.5 months, basically. You know, when an asset is getting suppressed like this at a resistance level, but it's got some major underlying bullish energy, I mean, it's gonna explode. You're looking at quick price movements. From the initial breakout, it's been 19 days and Bitcoin's up by 34%. But from the back test up until its high that it set today, it's up by 34% in only 7 days. And, you compare that to, this entire price range here, spans around 15%. And Bitcoin, broadly speaking, Bitcoin couldn't get out of a 23% range, for 7 months. For 8 months, Bitcoin couldn't get out of a 23% range, and now it's done 34% in a week. So this is the kind of aggressive price action that you get when you break major zones of resistance, and we're facing one right now. I wouldn't call it major per se, but it's definitely important, and if Bitcoin can get above it, I think it's just so likely that bullish energy just jumps back into the market. And it's so clear that altcoins aren't getting their chance to play, right? By now, you should be expecting Bitcoin's dominance to be significantly lower if you want the altcoins to be really interesting. But it hasn't happened yet. And I think that the reason it hasn't happened yet is because Bitcoin's not done. If this thing starts running and you get toward 90K, guess what, ladies and gents? The first few $1,000s in the $90,000 range, I think, are going to be very easy. As soon as you start getting up to levels like 97, 98, 99, 100, you're going to get a lot of people that want to front run the market, that want to sell Bitcoin, but they don't want to sell it at 100. Just in case Bitcoin doesn't get there, they want to sell it at 99. And so you get a lot of people that front run selling at 98, 97, 96, whatever. But the other way that this can go is that Bitcoin just flies straight through resistance, because that's happened too. I mean, we had resistance at 75K, just a psychological resistance, no problem for Bitcoin. 80K, no problem for Bitcoin. 85, no problem for Bitcoin. And now that we're finding resistance at 90K, this is the big deal that I think is so important. And this is going to get better the longer Bitcoin consolidates. We can see this with our support indicators. And this is the reason I'm getting so fired up in this videos, ladies and gents, because it's such a big deal. What we're going to see on these larger time frames is that if Bitcoin calms down, and if Bitcoin just starts trading sideways a little bit or entering some longer-term corrective price action, we're going to have so many signs of support catching up to this market. And there's going to be so many things that can send Bitcoin flying higher if Bitcoin just pauses here and chills for a minute, that I don't think we're going to have resistance at $100,000, because we're essentially going to finish all of our resistance here. That's what we did here. Keep in mind, ladies and gents, we could have found a lot of resistance between, $67,000 and 90K where we are now. There are a lot of zones that we could have found resistance in, right? Because Bitcoin finds resistance everywhere. It's, when in Bitcoin's history have we ever had a $20,000 price range with no resistance levels? It doesn't exist. This is the first time we've ever done it. And so I think the reason that we've been able to just cut through all of this without finding any resistance is because we did our resistance run over here. We experienced it here. We had our punishment here. And I gave you guys the same argument last year, right? Those of you that have been watching me for a while, because we've been making YouTube videos about this shit since 2018. So if you're missing this stuff or you're not quite here for whatever reason, then, definitely make sure that you do get yourself subscribed so that you don't miss out on this for the next 6 years that we're making videos, hopefully. But taking a look at this sideways range here, Bitcoin was trading sideways for 7 months, and then as soon as you get that explosion, look, there are resistance levels here. We know that there are resistance levels here because there was a shitload of sideways trading here. There was all this shit from early 2021. There was a lot of things happening in this $30,000 price range, but precisely because we found so much resistance for so long and we consolidated for so long, Bitcoin didn't need to find resistance. It just spiked up. It entered vertical accumulation like it's in right now, and then it spiked up again. It entered sideways accumulation like it's in right now, and then it spiked up again. And that's exactly what I think we're seeing again right now, ladies and gents. We're in the same market pattern. Why would it be different? Take a look at this. 7 months of consolidation, right? We're looking at characteristics, right? Key phases in the market. Well, take a look at this. This phase in the market was up only, followed by more up only, followed by very, very up only, followed by a little bit of sideways cooling off with that ETF, and then very, very, very up only, up until Bitcoin set its brand new all-time high. We're doing the same thing, ladies and gents. We've had our we've had our 7-month consolidation now. It's been a downward range instead of a sideways range, which is completely fine and very, very healthy for Bitcoin. And now we're seeing that subsequent explosion here as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So this is getting crazy now. And because we've already enjoyed or suffered all of that resistance for a very long time, and it's been, suppressing Bitcoin for a very long time now, I think, we're not going to be facing that much resistance potentially moving forward, okay? And so if Bitcoin does start to, slow down here a little bit and regain itself and, find some of its support indicator. I'm not saying it's going to happen. This market is very aggressive, and we haven't even looked at traditional finance yet, which we're going to do in just a second. But if it does, and if it does just go sideways, then that means this resistance level is going to build up in significance, right? And we're going to have some more time spent under this resistance level. And the more time we spend under that resistance level, the harder the pop's going to be. It's always been that way. Look at how hard Bitcoin's going now. It's not because Bitcoin's just like super bullish or whatever. It's because it's been suppressed for 7 months. I've been giving you guys the same argument on gold, and I've been telling you guys about gold for many, many, many months and years now about how good of a buy it is. I bought gold in this sideways range here. And it's the same damn thing, guys. Gold set its all-time high up here at, $1,900, came back up here in the 2020s, early 2020s, and it just basically went sideways for 4 years. And this was just a shit ton of price suppression, right? When gold finally exploded, it's not just because gold is super bullish. Gold is super bullish, I know that, but it's not because gold is super bullish. It's because gold was being suppressed for so long. And when something is suppressed for so long, it's going to explode when it finally gets released. Just like anything, just like humans, just like animals. You let a fucking crazy rabid dog out of a cage, guess what's going to happen when you open it? You let a bull out, guess what's going to happen when you show him that red cloth? You know what I mean? Like, it's pent up energy and it explodes. And I think that's the reason that, like, I don't want to be so certain about $100,000 Bitcoin top. Everybody and their grandmother's talking about it, and we're consolidating $10,000 away from it. I just don't really see it. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on it too much, but I don't want you to be completely unprepared by the idea that Bitcoin could just fly straight through $100,000 and take its dominance with it, because that's the point that we're making. Bitcoin's dominance is very high right now, while Bitcoin could be getting ready for another price explosion. And if it manages to look, we might get little drops in Bitcoin. If Bitcoin starts trading sideways, we can get Bitcoin's dominance dropping a little bit, and altcoins rallying, but we're not going to be seeing anything significant. We're not going to be getting anything like this. Like this shit is where you get your ex back and her sister, right? Like, this is where that shit happens, right? This is where things get absolutely crazy. We're not getting that right now. We're not there. I just don't think that we're there yet. And I think that if Bitcoin's going to keep exploding, we're going to stay far away from it for a little while longer. So, ladies and gents, there's so much more I want to cover with you. I do need to take it over to traditional finance, but before I continue on with this video, I want to make sure you know that there are going to be many more altcoin uploads that I'm going to be posting today, probably. It's going to be both on YouTube and Twitter, but Twitter is going to be getting exclusives. Also, Twitter gets some of this content early, so if you want to get this content early, make sure you're following on that top link. I'm also going to be live streaming hopefully later on today, so if you do want to see that, double check that you're subscribed so that you don't miss out on that content. Obviously, click the bell icon, and I'm about to jump on a call with somebody who is going to be taking up our exclusive program here. It's a 12-week super exclusive program that I've been telling you guys a little bit about. It is expensive. It's very serious. You work directly with me, and we have had the best results I've ever seen in my life from this program. We've been running similar things to this for quite some time, but this is the best version of it. And I mean, I've seen, one of our clients just very, very quickly paid off his investment fee 50 times over just by preventing losses. And obviously the same on the upside as well. A shit ton of money being made, way more than the investment, and precisely because that investment gave them insights that they previously didn't have. So there is a lot to it, and if you want to get information on it, you can reach out directly using this link, and I'll give you all the information for it. Obviously, get your free cash on these exchanges if you like the idea of free money as well, only if you're not from a restricted region. Very, very cool. All you have to do is start trading, and I do want to make a note. A lot of you guys have signed up, but if you don't deposit and start trading, they're not going to give you the free money. It's just what they do to make sure that you can't, like, be a bounty hunter, basically. But it's mega worth it, you know, if you're going to make any trades, or if you just want to make like little, you know, open and close at break even kind of thing. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you could do it, but they're well worth getting those bonuses. And you might find that you like these platforms too, because they are very, very well built. So definitely check them out if you're allowed to in your country. But back here to the S&P 500, we're not seeing anything too crazy right now, right? I mean, you know, things have slowed down a little bit. The S&P 500 is in a very, very nice little corrective price action wave right now. So that's very, very nice. It's super shallow. I would have liked to see the S&P 500 probably drop a little bit lower by now so that it can just get support and then carry on higher. But, you know, the S&P 500 doesn't necessarily need to do that. So we're just going to keep it locked here and see what happens. So far, definitely looking very, very interesting. And I think that it could definitely recover and continue. If it does drop, it's got support. There's no concerns here. We're going to have to revisit this, but right now it's just kind of holding steady in a nice place. If we take a look at the dollar, we are seeing a 106 reading here, which is absolutely fantastic because it means that the dollar has gained a lot of strength. And the reason that I really like this is it's very much so what goes up must come down type thing, especially with the dollar, because this is an index. It's not a price action chart. And so, you know, you would expect it to potentially come back down just in terms of normal currency fluctuations. But what we're seeing now is that the dollar has picked up so much strength while Bitcoin has picked up strength. Okay, usually if the dollar is getting stronger, Bitcoin is suffering, but lately that hasn't been the case at all. However, it might Bitcoin might regain its inverse correlation with the dollar later on, and the good news is that now the dollar is so high that it has a lot of space to come back down. And if the dollar does come back down, it's probably not going to hurt Bitcoin, but it could really help Bitcoin. So this is actually really, really, it's almost like we got a free, extremely bullish argument now. You know, like usually you'd have to fight and struggle for a bullish argument. For example, you know, have a 7-month corrective, you know, wave in price. It's fucking horrible to live through. You got to fight for it. You got to suffer to have a bullish argument. In this case, we got a really nice bullish argument and it was free. We didn't even have to feel pain for it. So that's really cool. And if we keep it locked to the dollar here, we are facing some macro resistance right now. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the dollar does here. If the dollar does reverse, and that's what I think is going to be more likely, then, you know, it's got a lot of downside here, back down to the 100 mark, potentially even back down to 104. But if it does fly through, there's nothing really stopping the dollar from getting significantly higher. So this is going to be extremely important to see what happens. And I am very, very interested. So make sure you are subscribed to get the next bit of analysis on this as things move. It looks like TRX has just broken out as well, which is very cool. Let me take a look at this TRX trade. I'm curious to see where my profit is on this trade right now, because it was at 1,100%, but it's probably going to be, you know, quite a bit higher than that right now. Let's take a very, very quick little look. Wow, yeah, look at that, ladies and gents. That is a 1,400% profit now. That's a 1,400% profit. Let me just pull that up for you guys. Take a look at this right here on screen. This is my TRX trade. Sitting in a, forgive me for the weird camera, but that is a 1,400% profit on my TRX trade now. Absolutely fantastic. Followed with a, well, led by a 3,100% profit there on BTC. So super, super cool stuff there. Obviously, that's all been traded on Bybit if you want to check it out with that link in the description down below. But ladies and gents, with that, I'm going to have to go. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have enjoyed this video, smash up those likes, double check that you're subscribed, and I will see you all in the next live streams, altcoin analysis on Twitter, all that good stuff. See you all very, very soon. Cheers.